Well. Good morning, and here I am with my Dunkin' Donuts coffee. It's been a while, but I've now had 3 of these this morning, so get ready. So what is it? I am Kenny Polcara, your host of the party, and today is Friday, March 4th, 2022. And what is it that we need to know today? Because so much has happened, not only yesterday, but what happened overnight that's going to drive the action today. So what is it that you need to know? Well, if you woke up this morning, you heard Russia has taken the largest nuclear power plant in Europe as this fighting continues, and that power plant is in the Ukraine. Stocks around the world are under pressure as this geopolitical situation worsens. Energy has now been weaponized, and the U.S. has the answer. It's time for everyone to wake up. And today's NFP report is a non-event. Jay's already told us what's going to happen from the Fed, so who's really paying attention to what the data says about the non-farm payrolls, especially in light of the headlines? Probably nobody. And what are we having for dinner tonight? We're going to have the halibut with mushrooms, leeks, and clams, right? It's a relatively simple dish to make, but it's also very good. So look, yesterday stocks sold off a bit, which is not a surprise after the oversized moves on Wednesday. Investors, traders, analysts, strategists, all getting a whack at what Jay said on Wednesday during his testimony on Capitol Hill. And while he appeared to define it or settle it, the end game is that investors are now realizing that Jay and his team at the Fed may have in fact missed the boat. The idea that inflation was transitory was wrong. The idea that they were ahead of it was wrong. The fact that they left stimulus on the table for longer than they had to is now coming back to bite them in the backside. And the fact that the Fed will now have to move aggressively or more aggressively is now their truth. Jay's second day of testimony, which was yesterday, only confirming all of that. Jay admitting that the current situation is not what the Fed expected at all, but he's attempting to assure us all that there's no need to worry. They got this with a 25 basis point rate increase in March and then more to come, leaving the door wide open for not 1, not 2, but maybe even 3 even more aggressive moves in the months ahead. Now, I say that, why? Because let's face it, they missed the boat. And if inflation continues to spin out of control, the Fed will have no choice but to entertain every possible choice. And those choices include being even more aggressive. All I have to do is say, go back to late 70s, early 80s, for those of us who lived it. By the end of the day, the Dow lost 100 points. The S&P gave up 25, the NASDAQ lost 215, the Russell gave back 27, and the transports ended the day nearly flat off only 9 points. The 10-year Treasury ended the day yielding 1.77%, while the VIX traded as high as 32 before settling in around 30. The commodity complex, which includes precious metals and food, along with energy, also continues to advance as the Russia-Ukraine situation remains front and center. Now, on top of the embedded inflationary forces that are now present in the U.S. economy and the global economy, the war between Russia and Ukraine will only exacerbate this. Oil is now, get a load of this, up 24% since February 25th. When WTI was trading at $90 a barrel, it's now trading at $112. And this affects more than just gasoline at the pump, which now has a 5 handle on it in some parts of the country. Portland, Oregon, I understand, is serving up gasoline with a $6 handle. Think shipping costs, think airlines, think trucking, think transportation, exploding energy prices. We're going to be met with rising prices for any and everything across the board to make up for the increase in energy costs. But remember what Joey told us on Tuesday evening during his State of the Union speech, when he intimated that big U.S. multinationals are taking advantage of this situation, telling business owners to cut their costs, not their wages. Really? Cut their costs? It's almost laughable. Exactly. How do you tell a business owner to cut their costs when everything around them is exploding higher? It makes no sense. Tanker rates, right? That's a new thing we're talking about. They are skyrocketing, and the cost of tanker fuel, called bunker fuel, has soared. And with 3 to 5% of all tankers now off the market because they're owned by Russia, this only adds fuel to that inflation fire, right? Western Europe needs to replace Russian oil, and how do they do that? Well, they're going to get oil from the U.S. and from the Arabian Gulf. But the trip to transport the oil is longer and costs more money to get it there. So get ready. Even higher prices are yet to come. And that's going to add pressure to global central banks to act more aggressively as they all attempt to control inflation in their own countries. Names in the shipping space that you might want to look at that have and will continue to potentially benefit from these rising shipping rates include Euronav, TK, and INSW. Okay, look, on to today, right? Yes, we have the non-farm payroll report due out today, and while we all expect 415,000 or so jobs to be created or replaced, is this report really going to be a directional driver that it usually is? The answer to that is unquestionably no. Jay preempted this. He told us what's going to happen at the next Fed meeting. So this report, while investors will watch it, will not cause the speculation about what the Fed is about to do. We know what they're going to do. He told us what they're going to do. And so the individual data points are not going to drive any investment decisions today at all. Doubtful. Don't look for it. And considering what happened overnight in Ukraine, today's report is really a non-event for investors, right? Reports this morning detail how the Russians have attacked and taken over Europe's largest nuclear power plant, which is located in Ukraine. Bombs dropping at or near the site, raising all kinds of concerns about damage to the plant and what that means for another Chernobyl. But if we're told, we're told not to worry, right? Because this site is fortified. The tortoise shell that covers all 6 reactors are supposedly safe and impenetrable, which is exactly why we should be worried. An incident here will make Chernobyl look like it was a child's game. This is serious. The International Atomic Energy Agency telling us that the situation in Ukraine is under control and that there are no leaks. But this is not helping the tone. It's risk off. Stocks across Asia ended the day lower by 2%. Stocks in Europe are now under attack. Markets across the region all down better than 3.5%. Talk of Vlad waiting to take back any region that was formerly part of the USSR is now what the geopolitical analysts are suggesting is his plan. Recall that when Vlad took Crimea during the Obama administration, there was zero fallout, no consequences by any nation. Everyone just sat back, leaving Vlad to feel emboldened. And now you want to know why he's going after Ukraine and then potentially the Baltics. I mean, it's crazy to me. But again, I'm not a politician. U.S. futures are lower this morning in concert with global markets on the back of the latest headline. Dow futures down 270, the S&P is down 35, Nasdaq getting whacked down 110, and the Russell's off 25. Treasury prices are up, sending yields down. Gold prices are higher, and what is the traditional safe haven plays? I would expect this to continue as today's headlines unfold, right? Money's going to go where it traditionally feels safe. That's treasuries and it's gold. Period. The end. It is Friday. The weekend is coming. A lot can happen. So do not be surprised to see another risk-off day as we move through the day and into the 4 o'clock bell as the trader types hit the sell button to raise cash. Again, fear creates opportunities. Buyers are alive and well, but will take advantage of this weakness. You must decide who you are and what level of risk you can sustain and what allows you to sleep at night. This is not the time to make an emotional decision. And while it is uncomfortable, it is what it is for now. In the end, surging oil and commodity prices along with geopolitical unrest threaten to unleash even more volatility, right, in the days and the weeks ahead. And stocks are still in a downward trend. We're just days away from what could be the death cross that I identified yesterday when the downtrending 50-day moving average pierces the rising 200-day moving average, indicating the potential for a bigger sell-off. So keep your eyes focused on the technicals over the next week or so. The death cross, if it happens, could see the S&P retest the February 24th lows of 41.14 before this is over. Cryptos, which are under pressure with the rest of the market, are not that safe haven that everyone's been talking about, at least not now. Bitcoin's trading at 41,700. Ethereum is trading just below at 2,700. Just below where it was yesterday, 2,900. Now it's trading 27. The S&P closed last night at at 43.86. I defined what to watch for. We remain in the 41.14, 44.60 trading range. A failure there at 41.14 could see it trade down to 38.50. You know how I feel about that. Remember, now is the time to stick to the plan, right? Call me to discuss. I'm happy to talk about it. Call your financial advisor. So what are we having for dinner tonight? So tonight I'm going to give you the halibut with mushrooms, leeks, and clams, right? You serve this in a bowl. It's easy and delicious. It makes you feel like you're at the beach. You can really feel the sand between your toes. Okay, so what do you need for this? Well, you need to go get Pacific halibut. And I say that because the Pacific Ocean is colder year-round versus the Atlantic. And so the fish does not fall prey to some of the parasites that exist in the warmer waters of the Atlantic, right? Atlantic halibut is best eaten in the colder months when the water is at its coldest. So in the wintertime is when you would eat Atlantic halibut. So for this, you're going to need halibut. You need mushrooms, right? You can use oyster mushrooms for this dish. That's the ones I prefer. You need butter. You need 3 large leeks. You need salt and pepper, chicken broth. You need 2 dozen little neck clams and some chopped Italian parsley, right? You want to season the halibut with salt and pepper, then just set it aside. Let that just, let the seasoning just kind of set in for a little bit. Now, you want to take it in a pot. You want to start by melting the butter in a saute pan over medium heat. Right? You don't want to burn the butter, so don't turn it up too high. Keep it on medium. You want to add the sliced mushrooms, probably, the sliced oyster mushrooms, and then maybe like 2 cups of the sliced leeks, right? From the white up to the kind of the light green part. Trim the leeks, and like I said, just the white to the light green. You want to discard the rest. Season it with salt and pepper, reduce the heat to medium-low, and cook it for about 10 to 15 minutes until the leeks are soft, right? Now you're going to add 3 cups of chicken broth and raise the heat to medium-high. Let it come to a boil. Now, you're going to add the fish and the clams to the saute pan now, right? You want to wait for it to reboil and then reduce the heat to low and then cover it. Cook it for 7 to 10 minutes maybe. Make sure that all the clams have opened up, right? If you still have some open clams, remove the fish and the unopened clams and continue to cook for another 3 minutes or so to give the stubborn ones a bit more time. At this point, throw out any unopened clam, right? Any clam that doesn't open, just toss it out. Now, you want to serve this dish in a full-size bowl, right? Kind of a shallow bowl is best versus kind of a deep bowl. You want to bathe, you want to put the fish in, and then you want to bathe it in the clams and the broth, and then you want to top it with the mushrooms and leeks and make it look very pretty. Then you want to sprinkle on the top with the chopped Italian parsley just to give it a bright green color, so that it looks appealing as well, because food is also not only about the taste but about the appeal of it to your eyes. It gets your brain going and gets you all fired up. Anyway, so you want to enjoy this dish with a crisp, chilled white wine. You know me, don't ask. Pinot Grigio Santa Margherita is always my go-to chilled white wine. It's a favorite, and it's delicious. I always have some in my house. You can never run out of it. In any event, it is Friday morning. We will get the NFP report in a little bit, but the headlines out of Europe and out of Ukraine will continue to dominate the story. So until I see you Monday, take good care.